It's winter time, and you know, like I know, some of us still gotta work outside. I'm inside right now, but I'll be out there later. Couple things I'm gonna do, and you should do too, is protect these digits. It's freezing out there, don't want any frostbite, and in this video I'm gonna share some other tips that you can do to make sure you make it home without frostbite, losing any digits, nose falling off or freezing off, any of that good stuff. Hope this helps somebody. This is Safety Sam. One thing that a lot of us miss, or because we do this kind of work all the time, is there's about 20,000, a little bit over 20,000 incidents a year where people end up, in the hospital or for treatment just from cold related type injuries is what we call them. Now, there's a few fatalities here and there when it's treated too late, but one of the biggest things is just a few things out there that we can do to protect ourselves and make sure we don't end up in that 20,000 this winter. And one of the first things and most basic things is wearing layers versus what I typically do. So normally, even myself, if I'm going outside, I'll throw a short sleeve t-shirt on, a big coat, and I go out there. I'm working for a while, I start to sweat, I take that coat and I toss it somewhere. Now for the next few hours, 3, 4, 5 hours, however long I'm out there, I'm working basically, in just my t-shirt. So as long as I'm moving, everything's active, everything's fine. I don't realize what's happening to my body. But hypothermia actually starts just when the body drops below 95 degrees. So from 98 to 95, sometimes being out here in this cold, like 21 degrees this morning, 18 degrees this morning, it doesn't take much to start to get that body to 95 degrees. But we're working, we're sweating, and we don't realize where we are. Now you get a couple hours of doing that, and then all of a sudden we stop working. Now I'm soaking wet, or I'm really starting to get wet, and that body temperature drops a lot faster. So one of the things that we like to do at this time of year is actually wearing layers. So like a bottom layer that's ideally, it doesn't have to be this, but ideally you want like a wicketing type shirt, the loose fit type Under Armour gear, not necessarily Under Armour in brand, but you know what I'm talking about, but the loose fit kind. So even me, I got a lot of the tight ones that I wear when I'm working out and stuff, but one of the things again about understanding what it means to work in the cold this time of year is when we're wearing the tight shirts under there, those start to kind of slow down your blood circulation. So in keeping my body warm, my body needs to circulate that blood. So those shirts we like to work out in or wear, if it's the tight ones that we wear hunting and stuff, those are great when I'm not doing all that movement. But when I need that blood to continue circulating, I don't want the super tight ones. So the loose fitting or wicketing type shirts are much better for this time of year. That next layer can be, a hoodie or something in cotton or something to that effect. And then of course my outer layer being my jacket or my coat or whatever I want to wear at that point. Because again, now if I'm working and I get to sweating and I pull this jacket off and toss it somewhere, I at least have, a couple more layers to protect me. So that's very important this time of year. To take it just a little step further, probably our most concerned body parts this time of year are going to be your hands, your nose, your ears, and your fingers. So the next thing is gloves. Gloves, if they get wet, if they get soaked, changing those out, not letting your fingers sit there for 3 and 4 hours wet and starting to, kind of crinkle up or wrinkle up and things. Again, normally if it's the summertime and I'm sweating and it's no big deal because the body temperature is not going to drop. But if I have wet fingers for a couple hours and start to get that body temperature to drop below 95 degrees, then other problems start to happen. So we're being mindful of that, just the kind of socks that you wear, not the typical thin running type socks, but some winter socks, some thick socks that keep those toes warm, especially if you're wearing steel toe shoes. I mean, a lot of times we're either wearing just boots now or we're wearing composite toes, and those don't get as cold. But if you're out there with steel toes, once those toes get cold, it's a wrap from there. Like productivity, everything, my mindset changes when those toes get cold. So that's something you want to protect and prevent from happening. Wearing a hat. Now people saying there's sayings out there that 65% of our heat escapes through our head. I've read in a million places. We don't know if that's a myth or not. What I can tell you about it though is being out in this cold, a guy with no hair, it doesn't take long for me to start freezing. So wearing a hat, but as you can see, even in this one, covering my ears, you see me? You see me? Y'all see me? I just got this. I'm excited. But anyway, covering the ears is important just because, again, you start getting those ears cold this time of year, it starts to feel real different out there. And then this time with the COVID, I mean, let's face it, a lot of us aren't wearing it. But anyway, with COVID, a lot of the fishing type masks that we've been putting on to you know, when we got to go in the store or something because of COVID, those are real nice this time of year to cover the bottom half of your face and your nose to keep you at least warm, a lot warmer. So covering our face is important. Keeping those fingers and things dry. If you start sweating, it's not a bad idea to take a couple dry shirts to change in either at the end of the day, midday, if I sweat too much, to be able to change again, just to make sure I'm maintaining that body temperature or not letting it drop below 95 degrees. Now, as a team, one of the things that we can do is pay attention to each other, right? You know, if you start seeing someone, you know, seeming dizzy or a little uncoordinated or just, you know, not acting like them normal selves, they're probably signs of hypothermia starting to kick in. And one of the first things we can do is get that person from out of the cold and into something warm. So one of the vehicles out there, if we're out on the site, one of those vehicles running, if we're around the shop, in the office, get them into something, a warm area. If they have wet clothing on, getting that wet clothing off of them, and then if possible, giving them something warm, not hot, not hot. Fresh coffee just came out and it's about to kill you kind of because it could shock the body, but something warm enough to get that body temperature to start rising. You do that for about 2 or 3 minutes and that person is not getting better and things like that, and then it's probably time to call 911 because at this point the next thing is they'll start shivering, the shivering will stop, they'll start turning blue and everything else starts to kick in. So that's when I was talking about that 20,000 that I mentioned before are the 20,000 that get past the hold. Let's get out of the cold and get in the truck. That's the 20,000 that, you know, had a 10-hour shift and 8 of that hours they were freezing. They stop at the last, you know, at the end, and it's already too late. Too much is set in. So being mindful, you know, what we can do for ourselves to protect us in this cold, and then watching each other to make sure that my team, you know, whoever's working on the team with me is safe as well. That's just working in the cold this time of year. There's simple tips, but one of the biggest things that if you can take from this that I think we all miss is how important the layers are and how important it is for those to be loose layers so that blood keeps circulating. One more thing we're working in the cold. Your body needs calories also to circulate that blood. So this time of year, again, you're out there, you're in the cold, you're freezing, and you're not giving yourself food like we normally do, eat a breakfast and then go ahead and work through lunch or whatever. Even taking little packs of crackers or little packs of peanuts and every 3 hours giving your body something will actually keep your body circulating blood, because your body won't think you're like going starving or something to that effect. Now, you're in the cold, you're not giving yourself calories. Our body is smart and it's designed to protect us. So it starts to lock down and keep some of that heat and slow that blood circulation down because it's now trying to protect you. So even like I say, you know, keeping a little pack of crackers or some peanuts or whatever, and just every 3 hours taking a little snack will keep that blood circulating. And believe it or not, those calories will keep you warmer than it would if you just go 8 hours, 9 hours without eating. So that's working in the cold.